Alright everyone, welcome back once again to the channel. I hope everyone is out there enjoying their Saturday. Alright, I wanted to react to another SFM Creepypasta video. Alright, a horror SFM Creepypasta video today. For some reason, I just feel like when it's raining, I feel like watching one of these videos with the animation, it's really soothing to look at. And then the narration it's also very soothing and it's well done. I just love these stories. I love watching these. So this one is by Mr. Sniper. Okay, if you want to check out the original video yourselves, check out the link in the description down below. Click on that, follow their channel, give them a like, give them a subscribe, anything you want. You can go to that channel and give them the credit for this video, or you can sit back and watch me react to this. Okay, this one here is called "I Will Never Rent a House Near the Woods Again." All right. So I know living near the woods can be a beautiful and also a scary experience. All right, I have never lived in the woods, but I've camped out in the woods, so I can see how it can be beautiful to be there, especially during the daytime. But during the nighttime, yeah, I mean, I can see how, especially at night, I'm pretty sure things are going to take place at night here in the woods. I have no doubt. Maybe I'll be wrong, but usually at night is when it's really scary to be out there because you don't know what's out there lurking in the woods. And just spying on you, watching you until you fall asleep, and then bam, it just snaps. You know what I mean? So you never know, man. But this one, nevertheless, sounds super interesting. All right, I want to see how the story goes. Maybe it's gonna be super relatable. Maybe it's not. But let's go ahead and jump right into this. And of course, let's get scared. Hate these lights.
I absolutely love summer.
Me too.
It's probably my most favorite time of the year. I know some people prefer autumn or spring, and those seasons are great too. But for me, there's just something relaxing about a warm summer day. Almost every year or so, a few of my friends and I have a little get-together. We all take some time off from work and plan some sort of event. Last year was Eric's world-famous barbecue party. Everything was great, until Eric set a stack of paper plates on fire, and those blew into the various tablecloths we had arranged. We managed to curtail the fires before they had time to spread any further, but that didn't deter the fire department from showing up anyway. The year before that, Jimmy invited us over to his house for a pool party of sorts. He has a very nice in-ground pool. None of us swam in it. We mostly just hung around his minibar drinking and generally carrying on. Nothing outrageous happened during that party. Oh, wait, never mind, I forgot. Eric wanted to show off his mega super awesome cannonball, but slipped before reaching the water, and ended up cracking his tailbone before sliding into the water like a blob. Don't run next to pools, kids. I could go on and on about all the events we've experienced in the past, but I'm here to talk about what happened during my event last month. Like I mentioned previously, we had all taken some time off work, and it was my turn to decide what we'd all do. We usually didn't take turns choosing like this, but no one seemed to come up with a different plan. I had been browsing through different destination spots and activities around my area. After searching for around an hour or two, I stumbled across a rather interesting post. Someone was renting out a lake house about an hour's drive north. Looking through the photos and glancing over the price, I knew right away this is what I wanted to do. I called the place and rented it out for the weekend. The woman on the phone sounded oddly excited about me renting the property. After speaking with her and finalizing everything, I immediately called everyone else and told them my plan. They were all almost as excited as the woman. Eric wanted to bring his grill with him so we could barbecue one day, and Jimmy brought some fishing gear so we could lounge by the lake. Our other friend Pete tagged along with us as well. He isn't a very outdoorsy type of person, but he still offered to come with. We each arrived at the lake house about mid-afternoon. The sun wasn't quite setting, which was good as it gave us a bit of time to survey the area and inspect the house itself. The house was much larger than I expected. For the price I paid to rent it, it seemed like I had gotten a really good deal. It's nestled between the massive lake and the crowded woods behind it. Only a solitary dirt trail cuts through the tree line leading to and from the house itself. Eric was already unloading his grill not 5 minutes after he arrived, while Jimmy, Pete, and I entered the house. The interior was very rustic, but I already knew this much from the photos. Different types of mounted animals dotted the high walls. The living room area was quite large. It looked almost like a recreation hall. A wooden staircase wrapped along one edge leading up to multiple bedrooms.
Oh, wow.
An expansive kitchen took up the other half of the bottom floor, as well as a decent-sized bathroom. It looked like this place was designed for big groups of people to rent and enjoy.
Yeah, definitely a big place.
After exploring the house for a bit, I wandered outside and took in the surroundings. It was such a peaceful evening. As I stood there, breathing in the fresh air, I noticed something strange. Apart from Eric fiddling around with his grill, there was no sound coming from the forest. I couldn't hear any birds, animals, or even insects. Hell, I could barely hear the sound from the lake nearby. Even though it was odd, I tried not to think much of it. An hour or so passed by, and after eating some burnt steaks Eric so graciously made for us, we each retired to our respective bedrooms. Sleeping in a new place always made me feel a bit nervous. I may be the only one, but whenever I'd stay in a hotel or at a friend's place, it always takes me forever to fall asleep.
Yeah.
At least during the first night. This isn't really a major issue, and it doesn't keep me from traveling, just an odd quirk, I guess. The bedrooms were quite nice. Minimal, yet decent. It had a small wooden framed bed, a stout dresser, and a nightstand with a small lamp. An empty closet adorned the wall adjacent to the door, and on the far wall was a long window that overlooked the trees and the lake. I was lying there, letting my mind wander as my eyes danced around my room. I wasn't staring at anything in particular, just trying to take in my surroundings so I could fall asleep more easily next time. Minutes slowly ticked by, and I started to feel my eyelids close, before a faint bit of movement out of the corner of my eye caused me to open them once again. I couldn't be sure, but I thought for a split second I saw someone standing outside my window. But that couldn't be possible, as the bedrooms were on the second floor and it was a straight drop down to the dirt below. My eyes locked onto the window, but after focusing for a bit, there was nothing out of the ordinary. The next day, we all got up bright and early. There wasn't a whole lot to do aside from wander around the property, so that's what I did. Eric was already prepping some food while Pete and Jimmy had started day drinking. I stood outside on the wooden porch with a cup of coffee, looking out to the tree line nearby. I once again let my eyes drift around as I sipped my coffee. Once again, there was hardly any sound, which I still thought was odd.
Big cup.
I wondered why it was so quiet in the woods, a place that is often filled with the sounds of life. As my eyes drifted, I spotted a bit of movement in the distance. It looked like something large moving quickly through the trees. I thought it might have been a bear, but before I could adjust my gaze, whatever it was had disappeared further into the trees. The rest of the day was uneventful. We spent most of the time down near the lake, drinking and fishing. Eric cooked up some burgers which surprisingly weren't terrible. And before we knew it, the sun had faded. We all went to our bedrooms for the night, and I didn't have much trouble falling asleep this time. Around 10 minutes after I had drifted off, I was startled awake by the sounds of screaming. My eyes cracked open, and I sat up looking around in the darkness. It took me a minute to recognize the voice. It was Jimmy. As I opened my bedroom door, I saw Eric opening his as well. We each gave each other a confused look before going to Jimmy's door and knocking. After receiving no answer, I opened his door. Jimmy was sitting on the floor wide-eyed, covered in sweat. I asked him what was wrong, however, he wouldn't turn to look at me. His eyes seemed to be fixed on something else. Eric and I both glanced over in unison towards his window. When we did, I heard Eric over my shoulder shout, "What the hell is that?" I didn't say anything. I just felt my muscles tighten. On the other side of Jimmy's window was a figure.
Wow.
It wasn't anything I had ever seen before. With the faint bit of moonlight outside, I could just barely see its face. I know this is going to sound very weird, but its face was almost dog-like in appearance. It had a long snout and beady, hollow eyes. From what I could tell, its body was completely hairless. I'm not sure if it was just the moonlight outside or what, but its skin was a dark gray color with a bluish tint to it. Its eyes continuously darted from each of us, like someone hopped up on caffeine. It was unsettling how jittery this thing was. It felt like an eternity of all of us sitting there watching this thing watch us. Then, it started to descend from the window. Jimmy and Eric didn't move a muscle. Yet, for some reason, I felt drawn to the window. I peered outside and saw it. Despite its massive size, it crawled down the side of the house like a spider. It crawled on all fours as it made its way to the ground below. Its hands were strangely human in appearance, but its hind legs were animalistic, like a dog or maybe a wolf. Its head turned back to look up at the house, and I could just faintly see its beady eyes darting around before it took off into the woods, disappearing beyond the darkened tree line. Eric, Jimmy, and I all sat there staring at each other for a few moments, before Pete came stumbling into the room asking what was going on. None of us said anything, and we all went back to our rooms. I doubt either of us slept a wink that night. The following day, as we all packed up to leave, I couldn't help but stare at the strange footprints in the dirt leading off into the woods. What made me nervous wasn't the fact that these footprints confirmed that what we saw that night was real, but there were at least 10 more identical yet separate tracks leading off in various directions. It's been close to a month since then, and I've just tried to forget about the whole event. I still have no idea what that thing was, but I doubt I'll be renting any more houses in the woods.
Wow. All right, you guys, there you have it. That was Don't Rent a House in the Woods again. So this one was definitely very straight to the point. I liked how most of the story was just super calming. It was more just soothing to watch them go out into the middle of the woods, rent a place there, and just kind of live it off as like a boys' day out or whatever, boys' weekend. And most of the story, I felt that it was that, but then all of a sudden, you just get to this really dark part of the story, where it's this werewolf type of being or thing is just spying on them in the window, and it's briefly shown. Right now, it is shown a couple times, but very brief, and then of course only in that sequence of scenes where it's shown. They see it the first time, and that's the first time and then the last time they see it, right? So like it's only shown a little bit, but that's enough to tell us like something is a werewolf is literally watching them in the woods. And I think at the end of the story, when you get this whole when you get the narrator saying, there was more identical footprints going in opposite directions, that was definitely scary. I think that the way that he said that, it tells us there was definitely more than one, and they could have gotten killed. If those things wanted to kill them, they could have, but I feel like they were just attracted by their presence, and they were curious, wanted to see who was living in that house. And then of course, once they knew, they just left back into the woods. But yeah, it was pretty straight to the point at the end. I feel that, a werewolf, that was definitely a throw off. I didn't expect a werewolf. I definitely expected maybe some really bad people that were out in the woods, like the Hills Have Eyes. Some people that were just, cannibalists. and they kill people, they kidnap people. But no, I never expected a werewolf. This was definitely a surprise, but I still enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it, and I like how they again showed the werewolf very briefly, and then it left. And I like how there wasn't any other build-ups for that werewolf. Like, it didn't attack them, it didn't come back and do something crazy. It just left. For a second though, I thought what's his name, Pete, that last guy that came in, I thought like he just morphed back into himself and then just came in saying, "What's going on?" I thought he was a werewolf for a second, but yeah, no, who knows where the heck these things came from. It was just like them. I was confused at the end, kind of like, well, where did it come from? Why is there more than one? And what the heck? Like, it's just kind of came out of nowhere. But yeah, that's all I got to say about this one. But it doesn't mean I didn't like it. I mean, I really did enjoy myself. I liked how it did get to the part where it was the reason, he told the reason why he wouldn't camp out in the woods. But it wasn't that scary. It wasn't scary like as I wanted it to be. It was just, I thought the monster was cool, honestly. But again, it just kind of threw me off. I didn't feel like it just showed up randomly, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because I didn't think of a werewolf. But that's just me. I just thought of a group of people that were, cannibals or something. They kill other people and they take their stuff. That's what I thought. And then I was, I'd say, yeah, I would not go out in the woods alone with like my wife, my children, or even my buddies. I'd probably go with tons of people if I go out camping in the woods or rent a cabin in the woods, deep into the woods. But if it's like in a safe part of the woods, like in the surface, I'd probably go just with my family. But yeah, man, just watching this stuff, I'm like, nah, I'll pass. Just a little like a day field trip, and then go back home to the town, go back to the city, But anyway, you guys, that's about it. That's all I got for you today. I hope all of you are enjoying your Saturday. I hope you enjoyed the story. Let me know if anything threw you off, or if you really just enjoyed this whole story and it made sense to you. I've already told you my thoughts. Hopefully they weren't too confusing. Sometimes I get kind of rumbled up in my words, like kind of stuck in my words. But hopefully that made sense for you guys. And I hope to see you in the next video. So take care of yourselves. Peace.